It's homework time! Yes, happy homework time is here yet again. Let's dive right in our usual way. Jot your name down at the top of your paper. I'll write my name, you write yours, and don't forget today's date. All right, today you write the actual date. Determine, our instructions read, the following sums and differences. Okay, show your work. All right, that's important, and that's because otherwise you would just write a number on each of these and be like, well, where did you get that number from? I don't know. All right, so 5 quarts plus 3 quarts. If you take kind of the big view here, look, A and B are addition, C and D are subtraction. It's easy to miss that. And you notice all we're dealing with here are quarts and gallons. So we're dealing with capacity in the customary system, and in fact, just quarts and gallons, no pints or cups here even. So 5 quarts and 3 quarts, well, together, these make 8 quarts. And I'm writing it here because you see it's saying, well, how many gallons is that? Okay, so I know that 1 gallon is 4 quarts. Therefore, 8 quarts is equal to 2 gallons. All right, so 2 gallons. We see that? Great. All right, so now, again, we'll do our addition down here and then work it out. So we have 1 gallon, 2 quarts, plus the 2 quarts. So that would give us 1 gallon, 4 quarts, right? But again, we know that 4 quarts equals a gallon, and so that would give us a total of 2 gallons. Now we have 1 gallon minus 3 quarts is how many quarts? All right, so 1 gallon we just noted here, that's why I wrote that down, is 4 quarts, right? So 4 quarts minus 3 quarts leaves us with, that's right, 1 quart. There we go. 3 gallons minus 2 quarts is how many gallons in quarts? Now here's what we're going to do with this, and this is a great way to approach these, is that 2 of those gallons, I'm just going to leave them alone. And this is the same thing we did with subtracting mixed numbers. And then 1 of those gallons, that one I'm going to decompose as 4 quarts. Now I can subtract my 2 quarts, and look what I get. And now I can write my answer up here as well. I will get 2 gallons, and 4 quarts minus 2 quarts leaves 2 quarts. There we go. We could also call that 2.5 gallons, huh? Yeah. All right, let's go take a look at number 2. And actually, sorry, before we get to number 2, we still have more to do on number 1 here. And these ones, this is where we bring in, you see, some cups and pints. And again, we have 2 that are addition, E and F, and then G and H will be subtraction. So good to kind of take that big picture before you delve in. So let's look, 1 cup and 3 cups. Well, that's 4 cups, right? We can add 1 and 3. Okay, so now 4 cups, let's think about that. So we need to get to quarts, but I think we have to make a little bypass in the land of pints. So think about it, 1 pint is 2 cups. So that means that 4 cups, yes, is 2 pints. We also know, and it's good to write these down because we'll use it for all 4 of these, we also know that 1 quart equals 2 pints. And 2 pints equals, we just wrote it down, 2 pints is 1 quart. Very good. All right, so now we're going to have 2 quarts, 3 cups, plus 5 cups. So that will be 2 quarts, right? And 8 cups. And then we want to put that all into quarts. So really those 2 quarts we can set aside for a moment and just think about the 8 cups. So 8 cups, looking back here, is how many pints? Well, every 2 cups gives us a pint. So 2 cups is a pint. So 2, 2, 2, 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. That would be 4 pints. And if you find yourself saying pints, yes, you're wrong. But however, don't criticize yourself because, many words like lint and stint, I'm not coming up with great examples. But anyway, there are plenty of words that look like pint, but are pronounced with an I instead of a long I. So there is pint, though. Pint, 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 pint. So 8 cups is 4 pints. However, we're looking for quarts. So we know from over here, 1 quart is 2 pints. So with these 4 pints, every 2 of those is a quart. So 2, 4, 2, 4. So that would be 2 quarts, right? And then we had these 2 quarts as well. Ooh, that's a Q, really. So we have a total of 4 quarts. Pretty good. And you happen to know what? That 4 quarts is, we could actually write this in here. We could write, hey, that's 1 gallon. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one. We have 1 quart minus 1 pint leaves how many pints? All right, so let's think about this. In order to work with this quarts minus pints, it'd be good to put the quarts into terms of, yes, that's right, pints. And we wrote here 1 quart equals 2 pints. So this is like saying, hey, 2 pints minus 1 pint leaves, well, we can do that, right? 1 pint. Beautiful. Over here now, 6 quarts minus 5 pints. Do the same thing. This is same idea, right? We're doing quarts minus pints. So 6 quarts, each of those 6 has 2 pints therein. So if we take the 6 quarts, multiply by conversion factor of 2, that'll tell us how many pints there are. So 6 times 2 is 12. So this would be 12 pints minus 5 pints. And there are other ways we could have done this, all right? But this is how I'm electing to do it this time. And that'll leave us with 7 pints. And now when we look at our, we're looking to put it in terms of quarts and pints. So if we look at these 7 pints, we can pair up 2 of them, 2 of them, 2 of them, and make quarts. So that would give us 3 quarts, right? With 1 pint left over. The other way of doing this would be to leave, and I'll write it out, to leave 5 of those quarts alone and just take the 1 quart and decompose it as 2 pints. Oh, but see, that's why I didn't do it that way. That gets confusing because then you're like, oh, that doesn't work. I still can't subtract 5. So we'd have actually had to take 3 of those quarts. So never mind that. So we got our answer, I think, in a pretty efficient way. 3 quarts, 1 pint. Woo! Doggies! Let's go see about number 2. And when I say let's go see about number 2, I mean example number 2. Yeah. Coffee. Don't worry, I got tea on the way too. We're going to find the following sums and differences and, indeed, show our work. So here we just got to like dig in, get to the grindstone. This is going to take a little while. Be patient, work through it. Let's understand this and get these correct. This is not about getting it done and being done with it and just whatever. This is about understanding what we're doing and getting them correct. All right, so let's look. 4 gallons, 4 gallons, 2 quarts plus 3 quarts. All right, well, let's do an intermediate step, an in-between step here, and just say, okay, well, that's 4 gallons, and 2 quarts and 3 quarts is 5 quarts, but we know that 1 gallon is how many quarts? That's right, 4 quarts. All right, and sorry, this Q again looks like an A, but all right, so that means of those 5 quarts, well, 4 of them will make another gallon, bring our gallon total up to 5 gallons, with that 5th quart left over, so there we go. That's it. So it's 5 gallons and 1 quart. Similar example here, and again, if we kind of take the big picture here, we pull back a bit. Look, we have gallons and quarts for addition, and we have 2 subtraction examples. These are going to be a little trickier, we could tell, because we're dealing with gallons and pints, skipping over quarts. And then here we're dealing with quarts and cups, skipping over pints. And then here we have gallons and pints plus gallons and pints. Again, not involving quarts. So these will be a little trickier. We'll just have to, when I say trickier, it means we'll have an additional step to perform. So let's do that. 12 gallons, 2 quarts, plus 5 gallons, 3 quarts. All right, well, let's just add, because that's what we're doing. So let's say, okay, 12 and 5 are 17 gallons. 2 quarts and 3 quarts is 5 quarts. Now, look, they've been doing these all along in pairs. Look, all that changed is the number of gallons. We still have the 5 quarts. So we know that we're going to decompose 4 quarts out of here and 1 quart out of here, and that this one is a gallon, which goes with these gallons. So 17 gallons plus one more gallon in the form of 4 quarts, yes, it will make 18 gallons. And then that leaves us one other quart here. Boom, done. Now here we're subtracting. Don't forget we're subtracting. Gallons and pints minus pints. So 7 gallons, 2 pints minus 3 pints. And the whole reason we have to do a little bit of work here is because we cannot subtract 2 minus 3 in pints there. So we're going to leave 6 of those gallons alone. We're going to say, okay, it's going to set you aside. Whoosh, push them aside, right? Like we used to do with the cakes. We're talking about subtracting mixed numbers. And one of those gallons we're going to decompose as 4 quarts. See, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. But we already have, well, let me write that down as an in-between step here. All right, so we're going to decompose 7 gallons as 6 gallons, 4 quarts. But that actually doesn't help us, right? Because what we're dealing with are pints here. Now, we recall that each of those 4 quarts has 2 pints therein. So if we do 4 quarts times 2, that will tell us we have, that's right, 8 pints. So this is equal to 8 pints, plus the 2 pints we already have. So what we're doing now, we'll rewrite it so we can see what we're doing. We're doing 6 gallons, and, well, 8 pints and 2 pints is 10 pints. Now we can subtract those 3 pints. And what we get then is 6 gallons, 7 pints. Okay? You see that? 6 gallons, 7 pints. And 7 pints is kind of a weird thing to have because you would express that as quarts and pints, but that's what we're at, so we'll leave it that way. Now here, this is, notice, very similar idea. We can't do 3 pints minus 6 pints, so we're going to decompose. The only difference here really is that, besides the numbers being different, is that we have the 4 gallons over here, but that really doesn't change anything. So 10 of these gallons we're going to leave alone. And we already know we can skip the in-between step, or not skip it, but do it in our heads, because we already know that one of those gallons is 4 quarts, which is 8 pints, plus, so 8 pints, plus the 3 pints we have there already is 11 pints. And now we can subtract this, which I'm not going to bother myself rewriting. I can say 10 gallons minus 4 gallons leaves 6 gallons, and then 11 pints minus 6 pints leaves, that's right, 5 pints. Beauteous. Very nice. So here again now, looking at quarts and cups, skipping over pints, which gives us that in-between step. So here we're adding those. So when we add, we get 12 quarts. 5 cups plus 6 cups is 11 cups. And now we're asked to put our answer in terms of quarts and cups. But it wouldn't be totally accurate to write just 12 quarts, 11 cups. We have to think about those cups and say, well, how many of those could we pour into a quart container and make a whole quart? So let's think about it. We have to do the intermediate step of pint. So 1 pint is 2 cups. Okay? And then 1 quart, because we're dealing with quarts here, is 2 pints. And so what this is going to look like is, let's say here's a quart. It's made up of 2 pints. So the whole thing is a quart made up of 2 pints. And then each of those pints is made up of 2 cups. So that means 1 quart equals 4 cups. You see that right there in our little drawing? And of course we could do 2 times 2, our conversion factors, to get 4. So when we look at these 11 cups, right, we could take 4 of those cups will be a quart, 4 of those cups will be a quart, and then that leaves 3 cups. So what we end up is 12 quarts. This is a 13th quart. This is a 14th quart. So a total of 14 quarts with these 3 cups left over. See, it looks so simple, but and it's not that challenging, but you have to slow down, be patient, and think it through. That's where the work comes in. This one is very similar, although we're dealing with gallons and pints, and we're skipping over quarts. That's what makes the extra steps for us. So here we're adding, so let's just go ahead and add. 8 gallons plus 5 gallons is 13 gallons. 13 gal. 6 pints plus 4 pints, of course, is 10 pints. Okay. And we are asked to express our answer in terms of gallons and pints, but we can look at 10 pints and say, I think there might be a gallon lurking in there. So let's think about it. We already know that 1 gallon is 4 quarts. And we know, we just drew it out over here, that each quart contains 2 pints. So if we were to draw a gallon, just as we did with this picture here, so now this is a gallon, and we were to say, okay, it has 4 quarts inside there. Okay, so there are 4 quarts, and each of those quarts has a pint in it. So there are how many pints? 1 gallon. 1 gallon equals 8 pints, we could see from our little illustration. And so now when we look at those 10 pints, we can say, well, 8 of those pints, that's a gallon, and then that leaves 2 pints. So 13 gallons plus this 1 gallon, right underneath, that equals 1 gallon, those 8 pints. Well, so that's 14 gallons, and leaving us 2 pints. Now, I know that took a little bit of time and patience. Yeah, it did. Welcome to math. All right, let's go on to number 3. And you should have seen this coming. We should have, because this is the usual habit here, is that we have a couple of easier practice examples, a couple more difficult, and then we get into a couple word problems to use what we know. The capacity of a bucket is 5 gallons. Well, let's have fun drawing this. Okay, so here's our bucket. You draw an oval, right? And then when you bring it down, a common mistake is to draw a straight line here, but if you draw a line that has the same curve as the top, yeah, then you get something that looks like a pretty happy bucket. All right, and I'm going to even go ahead and draw the handle for the bucket, and there should be something of a rim as well, like the kind of bucket you get at a home improvement store. Hey, you can go ahead and even draw like a shadow of the bucket. Okay, now I'm having way too much fun. Oh, it looks like a beaver tail. That's horrible. All right, so the capacity of the bucket is 5 gallons. So this bad boy holds 5 gallons, which is actually what this size bucket does contain. Right now, it contains 3 gallons, 2 quarts of liquid. So again, I'm going to do a curved line. Let me get kind of, this is a clear plastic bucket, okay. Okay, so here's our liquid in there, which it's a clear bucket, we can see through it, and this has 3 gallons, 2 quarts of liquid. I love that they are not specifying what exactly this liquid is. Could be water, could be gasoline, could be ferret juice. We don't know. How much more liquid can the bucket hold? So what we're trying to find is this part, and I'll put the bracket on this side. This here, this, let's call it B for bucket. I know sometimes they put a question mark, but we can put a shape even or anything. So we can see from this we have a known whole with a known part and an unknown part, which we know in our tape diagrams means we are, that's right, subtracting. All right, so that B will be if we take the whole capacity of the bucket, 5 gallons, subtract the known part, the 3 gallons, 2 quarts, that will give us the unknown part, all right? And remember, yes, I love the unknown. All right, so in order to do this, obviously we need to decompose one of those gallons, at least in our heads, if not in reality. So we're going to leave 4 of those gallons alone. And now we just did it several times, that a gallon is, right, 4 quarts. Nice thing about these is with the word problems, the math is usually a bit simpler than what we had to do for practice. So now we can subtract 3 gallons, 2 quarts, right? 4 gallons minus 3 gallons leaves 1 gallon. 4 quarts minus 2 quarts leaves 2 quarts. So that's the difference. That's B. That's what we need. The bucket can hold. Doing our statement here. Redraw right. Right. The bucket can hold 1 gallon, 2 quarts more liquid. It's not blood. That's disgusting. All right, let's go on to number 4. Well, Eureka Land is such a happy little place. What are Grace and Joyce up to today? Well, they're making a homemade bubble solution. The blue bubbles. Let's see what they're putting into this. How much solution does the recipe make is our question, and they're following the recipe in this table here. So, homemade bubble solution. Ingredient and amount. Water, 2 gallons, 3 pints. These girls are scrupulous about their measurements. Dish soap, 2 quarts, 1 cup. That's a lot of dish soap, girls. And then corn syrup, 2 cups. I've never seen this kind of recipe, corn syrup. That's what they use as a sweetener. These are going to be delicious bubbles. I didn't know you could put corn syrup in bubbles. Anyway, so how much does it make? So when we're talking about how much it makes, we're obviously, and we don't even need to draw something here because it's already drawn for us on the table. This is, our S. This is our solution, is the combination of these 3. Now, you notice though, we're given gallons and pints, quarts and cups, and cups. So there are several ways that we could go about this. I think we should just smash the whole thing together and see what happens. What do you say? All right. So let's start off. So we're going to have 2 gallons. We don't have any gallons to add that to, do we? And then we have 3 pints. Now look, I'm going to leave a little space here because I know I have quarts coming up, so I'm going to leave a little space and just write 3 pints because we don't have any pints to add that to. Now we have 2 quarts, and we don't have any quarts to add that to. And then we have 1 cup and 2 cups, which makes 3 cups. Woo! Now, when we look at 3 cups, we know that, so this is what we get when we add those together, which is not very useful. Right? It's like, well, how much bubble solution do you have, girls? We have 2 gallons, 2 quarts, 3 pints, 3 cups. And you'd say, what? So let's look at these cups. We know that 2 of those cups will make 1 pint, right? Leaving just 1 cup there. Okay, so now this pint is going to come over here. All right. So now these 3 pints are now 4 pints. And we know that 2 of those pints makes a quart, right? So now this is going to be 2 pints and 2 pints. And each of those pints makes 1 quart. 1 quart. And I can make a little equal sign on all of these so we're clear what we're saying here. And I'm circling them so we say, hey, these go together. So now those 4 pints, those are going, the 4 pints that we just combined to make 2 quarts, those go over here. So now there's 2 quarts there, and we're adding 2 more quarts. That makes 2 quarts. We see that? Plus these 2 quarts. So now we have 4 quarts. And we know that 4 quarts makes, equals 1 gallon. And so that's going over here to make 3 gallons. So we're left with these 3 gallons. The quarts we've used all up, these pints we've used all up, and then we just have this cup over here. A little confubulating, huh? So the recipe makes 3 gallons. And just to show you, to be careful about this, look, we had 4 quarts, right? But we put those into a gallon. So we're not writing any quarts. We put those into a gallon. We had 4 pints, and we put those into 2 quarts. So we don't have any pints anymore. We put them into quarts, which we put into a gallon. And then we have this one little lone cup over here. So 3 gallons, 1 cup. Period. We could say of homemade bubble solution, but that's good. All right, how many more cups? Oh, a solution when they need to fill a 4-gallon container. All right, well, look, we can go about this a couple of ways, but 1 gallon we want to know is, well, look, we have 1 cup. How many more cups do we need to get to that next gallon, to the 4th gallon? So we want to know 1 gallon is how many cups. So the way we can do this is to say, okay, here's our gallon. This is gal, I gal, 1 gal. And we know that we have 4 quarts in here. And that each of these quarts contains 2 pints. So there we go. And that each of these pints contains 2 cups. Ah! There we go. Look, 4 by 4. It's a multiplication array. 4 by 4 is 16 cups. Okay, so now if we even wanted to draw a nice little tape for this, we'd say, hey, if this is 4 gallons, we have 3 gallons, 1 cup. We need 16 cups to make a full gallon, so another 15 cups would finish us out there. And we could write this even as, 4 gallons minus 3 gallons, 1 cup. I don't think that's necessary, though. We can see this. So they would need 15 cups more to have 4 gallons. And a 4-gallon container, maybe they could borrow that 5-gallon bucket from the previous example. Well, look, oh my goodness, you did it. You completed another homework time. So hot dog and hallelujah. I will see you next time around the bend when it is once again homework time.